Apologize for the mess. We're in the middle of moving, but I really wanted to chat about this. All the gear you really need to make movies. 1, a camera. 2, that's it. Here's a bit of a movie I made in 2020, which is my iPhone 7 and the ceiling boob light of our apartment. So it's not incredible, but my mom loved it, and I think she actually liked that one more than she has really any of my other more produced movies. But I think this really addresses what the core motivating factor should be for what gear you actually need is, and that is, who is your audience? Who are you making movies for? Sure, if you're making movies for Netflix, then you should abide by their, list of prerequisites and list of gear that you need. You're making movies for other filmmakers, then sure, you might need a FX3 and a pretty decent lighting package, because honestly, we're pretty snobby as filmmakers. It's kind of insufferable, and I mean me too. It is a bit annoying, but that's just kind of the way it is. You're making movies for social media, for YouTube, for TikTok, for whatever else, then it doesn't really matter. You can have the best gear in the world, but what matters more on these platforms is really just personality, to be honest. But if you're making movies for yourself or your mom, then it really doesn't matter. You can use an old iPhone, you can use no lights, and you can hire someone on Fiverr to edit your movie because your laptop is not even powerful enough to run Windows Movie Maker. And if it's for yourself, then reps matter way more than gear ever could. And don't get me wrong, I don't want to make it sound like I'm above gas. Gear is sick as hell. I mean, I just bought an FX30, and I used to play a lot of live music, and I don't so much anymore, but I still hop on Pedal Playground probably once every other week just to mess around with some more combinations and take a screenshot and add it to my giant screenshot folder. But at the end of the day, these things are not the real difference maker. So let's chat about what minimalist gear I use to make movies. For the majority of things I've made, it's really 2 things. 1, it's a Canon M50, which here, actually, oh no, la-dee-dee-doo. All right, we still there? So, my Canon M50 and a Sigma 18-35. The M50 is great, but it doesn't shoot logs, so I can't really do detailed color grading. It only really shoots 1080. 4K you can do it, but at a really, really cropped form factor. And then I've also just used a kind of dinky softbox. Like, check this out. You can see it here, and it's even actually just kind of falling apart. There's bits of it falling out, and for the better part of a year, the bulb in it was really falling apart. It was really being held together by painter's tape, because it had, the casing was falling off and it had some loose wires. And I was able to make, some shorts, some films that I'm proud of with just these 2 items. Now I also have the FX30 that I mentioned, and this tube light, which I'm using over here. But really, these things have only just made it a little bit more flexible with filming and added a little bit more versatility to my kit, but it hasn't actually made any of my work any better. And at the end of the day, you don't even need the Canon M50 and the dinky light to make movies. You can really just use the sun and whatever phone you have. And I know that's just the traditional thing that everyone says when you don't have any gear, but really you can make some incredible things with just these items. Let's look at these 2 examples. First is Joel Haver, and he pretty much just uses natural light for everything that he does. He says he doesn't like a lot of big lights. He likes to just kind of plop the camera down, and his stuff looks really, really good. But more importantly, his storytelling and the humanity behind his stories is really there and really strong. And that's honestly what I think we're striving for with movies anyway. And if you want a lot more technical look, I mean, this short right here, The Trolley Problem, shot entirely with iPhone. You can check out some of their other shorts, and they're also shot with iPhone, and they look better than anything that I could do with my FX30. So with the never-ending amount of YouTube videos that are posted to this platform every single day, it's really easy to get caught in a loop and a cycle of watching the next tutorial and thinking that is going to be the thing that's really going to set you apart going forward. YouTube really can get you to lie to yourself. You think you're doing prep, but in reality, it's just procrastination and research is clothing. There's nothing wrong with watching YouTube tutorials, but true learning comes when it's paired with practical application. So this is something that I'll challenge you and myself as well. You know, every tutorial that you watch going forward, make one project, no matter how small, to pair with what you've learned in that tutorial. So that way you are growing with the kit you have, you're growing with the skills you have, and it's not just endless amounts of research and endless amounts of prep with no actual output tied to it. That's going to matter more than any piece of gear that you could buy. See ya.